The other thing that impresses me is that in doing a little research so that I would know a little bit more about you, that musicians in the vanguard of their careers and their kind of music, cutting edge musicians in their ilk, are the kinds of musicians that you've created dance for.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Any of musicians that were a challenge for you, and how you perceived it?
Well, most of the musicians I've had the opportunity to work with, it hasn't been challenging. It's just each one works in a different way. And then I find their way of working. And except for the very first musicians I worked with many years ago in New York, all the other people actually approached me. And they had seen my work with live music. And they're like, oh, maybe I might do something like that with Dianne McIntyre. So they're already open. One thing sometimes, a challenge with musicians, maybe it's not the person who's the composer, it could be their side men or side women, is that the musicians have to learn, because some things we do are improvisational. My idea is that the dance and music are one. They're all part of the same band or the same dance. And so sometimes it's challenging. The musicians have to learn to open their eyes. Okay, you know how that the musician is playing music with their eyes closed so that they can hear and relate to the other musicians. Well, in connecting with the dance, they have to open their eyes so that they can bounce off of the dancer as well as the other musicians. So that's the major challenge. Sometimes we've had things where the musicians and the dancers, they fall in love with each other because they're just, I guess it's a natural attraction.
Well, and so it makes for great performance too.
It does, it does. And I've had the opportunity to work with Max Roach and Cecil Taylor. Those are people that some, number of people may know their names. And also Lester Bowie, before he passed away, great trumpet player. And Lester was so theatrical, he could dance himself. He could do his own dance, he could do his own drama, everything. So when he actually had dance with his music, he was in heaven. And very, very extremely disciplined. He would tell us, like, I don't think you got that movement right, that step right. Don't you want to do it again and again and again? So I've learned a lot from the music, not only their discipline, but also their way of working, sometimes interweaving with each other, and the improvisational elements. So music has been a great teacher for me, as well as history.
Well, I know that you have, as has been said, and is a fact, you have this extensive background. You've done a lot of very interesting, important work. The awards that you have been given, the accolades that you have earned over the years. The thing that I find most interesting is that we're in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm sitting here talking to a world-class choreographer, dancer, interpreter, storyteller, beautiful woman.
Thank you.
And why are you in Cleveland?
Well, I'm in Cleveland. I grew up in Cleveland, and I had all of my first dance lessons and first maybe experience of the avant-garde in Cleveland. Cleveland artists, at least when I was growing up, were very forward-thinking. And it was also amazing that when I was a little girl and a teenager, it was not strange to want to be an artist. When I went to New York, I found that there were people who grew up in communities or families where they were looked upon a little askance, like art must be a hobby. In Cleveland, even in my father's day, in the 30s, he knew people then who committed themselves to being artists. So that was the thing I really appreciated about Cleveland. I met other Clevelanders in New York who said the same thing. So it became, in 2003, I returned to Cleveland really to help my family. My parents were up in age, and over the years, even though I lived in New York, I traveled a lot. New York was my base, and I traveled so much with my work around the country, colleges, universities, different dance companies, and I had become established as a choreographer in the dance world, so I felt that my base could change, and I would still have those connections, which is true. So I continue to travel a lot with my work, and at the same time, I have wanted to offer something of the love of the dance and the dynamic of the dance and the interconnectedness of the arts. Those things I have wanted to do that in Cleveland too, because I live here. So
Right.
so I have had the opportunity to work with several of the companies, and sometimes I put my own event together, which is like what's happening this weekend.
Tonight, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting how you said that at that time in your youth, it was not unique here to want to be an artist.
Yes.
And you know, I had the same experience growing up. You know, I wanted to be creative, and I had a desire to be an artist. And thank God we grew up when we did, because
Yeah. Do you think
it's
it's
given us a
different now?
certain kind of freedom. I think so. I think it's
Okay.
very difficult for young people today to feel right about art. And one of the things that I'll touch on is just that I know artists in Cleveland, young artists in Cleveland, and they feel they need to go to another city in order to be successful. And I think that you would be a very powerful example of somebody who is world class, living in Cleveland and doing it all over the world. I mean, you're doing what you do, but Cleveland is your home. And I think that people need to know that Cleveland is a good place. It's a great place to base your person and allow your creativity to flow from you.
Yes.
And it's been done again and again and again, and that's part of why I want to do these videos, is to get the word out that, contrary to popular opinion, Cleveland has got a lot going for it.
Yes.
And I
That's
so
beautiful.
appreciate meeting you tonight and having a chance to talk with you. I told you last summer when I saw you that I was
Yes.
going to get you and
That's
I was going
right.
to talk to you.
And here it is.
And I so appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.